Imagine the possibilities as dedicated to empowering people to reach individual achievement across the spectrum of life. We believe in creating lasting relationships, empowering people for success, and cultivating joy. Our team of passionate people work each day to serve our communities in ways that create a lasting impact. We believe in creating opportunities for people with disabilities to achieve goals, build skills, and celebrate all that's possible. If you want to learn more about us or join our exceptional team, visit us at imagineia.org.
Unorthodox. That's what I would call what we just saw in Camp Randall Stadium. And we're going to go with that theme throughout the postgame show. As you can see, I'm in a very unorthodox place. I'm not going to divulge where I'm at. You can guess. I am in Madison, fresh off a trip into Camp Randall, and what a game we had. I feel like we're missing something. I say that every week. Let me see. Yes. 20.9 is the new number. As we've got about 500 people here waiting. A couple of heads up notes here before we get going. First of all, what a win. Iowa going on the road, and I don't care how it looks. I mean, I do care how it looks. Let's not be – let's call a spade a spade. I do care what it looks like, right? It matters what it looks like when we're talking about resume, when we're talking about the college football playoff. But as it relates to this division and as it relates to the conference race, it really does not matter, all right? I'm going to take this earbud out for now. It really does not matter. And I think most people acknowledge that if Iowa was going to go into Camp Randall and win this game, it was going to be a low-scoring game. Man, the pass offense is completely non-existent. Eric All going down in this game, it sounds like it's potentially serious. I don't think it's the right of me or anybody in the media to assume or speculate that it's season ending 3 seconds after it happens or 10 minutes after it happens. I made the comment a couple weeks ago regarding Cade McNamara that I'd be surprised if he played another down. I'll say the same thing about Eric All, but I have no inside information on that. I don't think anybody does. We're waiting to be joined by Tom Kakert, who will be jumping on with us. If you're here to see Coach Don Patterson, Coach Patterson is actually working television right now for ESPN+. He's doing a Missouri Valley Conference game this evening, so he will not be with us He'll be with us, I believe, Monday. So we initially talked about a Sunday show. I believe we're actually pushing that back to Monday. And if you've done the math, you have figured out that I'm in Madison right now. I will be at the crossover at Kinnick tomorrow afternoon. Okay. So the idea that we're going to be able to do a post-game show with Don after this post-game show and somehow get back to my home base in Ames, not reasonable, not feasible. So one thing at a time. But I am excited to be here with you, at least for the next hour here, folks. We're going to talk about this win and so many different guidelines and so many different stats to uncover. And you look at the rushing numbers, and I'll tell you, standing there in the stands, and by the way, it's always a beautiful thing when you can go on the road and get a win. Thankfully, I've been able to be at both road venues where Iowa has won this year against two rivals, Iowa State and Wisconsin. And just a beautiful thing when you can consistently stand up and turn and look at the crowd with your hand up, signifying fourth down over and over and over again. And Iowa's defense was relentless. Man, Sebastian Castro is good. Man, Cooper DeJean is good. I thought Jamari Harris played really well. That was a clean pass defense in the end zone. I know the crowd wanted a PI. It was a clean play. And I just thought overall, Iowa's linebackers, Nick Jackson, Jay Higgins, playing really good football right now. The front four still is not creating a lot of pressure when you look at, a four-man rush, but they're getting the job done. And I think that's all you can really hope for at this point. Phil's not going to bring a ton of pressure unless he needs to, and he did it a great time following the timeout late that created the safety. And he's a magician as it relates to when to dial up pressure, but he's not a big blitz guy, and they don't have a man beater on the edge that can kind of disrupt things in the passing game consistently. Joe Evans also was dinged up in this game. We'll see what his status is moving forward. So without further ado, I believe we have the man of the hour, Mr. Tom Kakert. Tom, good to see you, sir.
I am not the man of the hour. That would well, be Tory Taylor or
Tory Taylor. I'm going to say LaShawn. Man, Tom, as I'm standing there, and of course I'm guessing you were able to enjoy the warm press box. I'm out in the stands in this game, and you're watching the game and kind of came to a realization in the fourth quarter. Like, Iowa hasn't had many negative runs, and typically in a game against Wisconsin, Iowa's rushing attack gets hit for -4, -5, and it completely disrupts drives. Now, granted, the Iowa offense was not great today. Nobody's claiming that it was, but how important was it to stay ahead of the chains? And I'm sure Kirk probably talked about that postgame.
Yeah, just being able to, although there was that stretch after the 82-yard touchdown run where I think they went 6 straight drives going 3 and out, and that was troublesome times for the Hawkeyes for sure. But they were able to just, it was a little bit of everything. It was Tory Taylor punting the ball. It was, LaShawn getting first downs. It was the defense getting a safety and creating turnovers late in the game, where I thought they kind of broke Wisconsin at one point in the fourth when they started creating more turnovers. So it was just a lot of things. And it's the resiliency of this team. It's not pretty. I mean, 15-6 is just, it's not. It's and I get that fans get upset because people nationally are going to poke fun at Iowa, but boy, it beats. There's winning solves everything, and Iowa threw for 37 yards today. Deacon Hill completed 6 of 14 for 37 yards.
Incredible.
And Iowa went into one of the toughest places in the Big Ten and won 15-6. That's all you say.
It's incredible. LaShawn Williams was really good. Obviously, he busts the big run, and that seems to be the trademark for this offense. If they can get a big play, and I said it after it happened. You probably said the same thing, Tom. Like, that one play, you're thinking that might be enough.
It might. I was thinking that for a while.
And it would have been. In hindsight, it would have been.
I had made some jokes earlier in the week. I'd said that if Iowa was going to win this game, it had to look something like the 2015 win, which was 10-6 up here. And I'll be gosh if it almost didn't end up being 10-6 until the safety and the field goal, because it just felt like that was where this was headed, and you got the turnovers late, just like you did in that the 2015 game where Iowa got the goal line stand late in the game against Joel Stave. So they just find ways to win,
They
and
absolutely do.
it's just and you just wonder what's the breaking point, because the injuries are piling up. I mean, Kirk did not seem very optimistic about Eric All at all. No pun intended. He just felt like it was, I think his term was, it doesn't look good, but they're going to wait to confirm things on Monday or Tuesday. But when you see them doing the ACL test on the field, that's never a good look. And, it's just they're piling up. Apparently, I didn't see it because I was headed down towards the field area, but apparently Y.A. Black left the game late with some sort of shoulder thing, but I didn't really see it, and nobody asked about it post game, so I don't know that anybody else, the media saw it, but hopefully he's okay, because boy, that thump he put on the quarterback in the safety was something. So, and they're until they get Noah Shannon back, boy, they've got to have Logan Lee and YA out there, because their ability to stop the run decreases pretty significantly when it's Graves and Pittman out there.
I'm curious, Tom, and obviously again, 15-6 win on the road in Camp Randall, you're never going to complain. But there are two plays that I want to bring up, and I'm curious if Kirk was asked about them. It felt like the 2 4th down calls could have been reversed. Just maybe you sneak the ball in the second and you kick the field goal in the first. I was a big advocate for them to send in Drew on that first field goal. They end up going for it, and those 3 points off the board, potentially 3 points off the board, could have loomed large. They did not. I'm just curious if those 4th down decisions were brought up. I'm guessing those were Kirk's ultimate decision.
Yeah, they were his decisions. I didn't really have any qualms with it, because I think he just wanted to get points on the board on the 1 field goal and not go for it, because I get it that you think, wow, you can put them away, but you can continue a drive, eat more clock. But I think he just wanted to make it more than a field goal game at that point, and just take the points, get up. So they've got to score a touchdown, and you trust your defense that has shut them out from the end zone to be able to keep them out of the end zone. So I think that's probably, his thinking is just, let's get the points. Trust Drew Stevens. He's one of the best kickers in the Big Ten, and get those points.
How'd you feel about the first 4th down call where you go for it and you could have kicked the field goal with Drew from about 48, 49 yards in the first half?
Yeah, I wondered about that one, but I think it's just situationally he just wanted to probably just see what they could do there, sustain the drive more, get a little bit better, and trust your offense at that point. But once it gets later in the second half, you got you got a little bit of a lead, you want to tack on some points.
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely had less of an issue with the late shot, and what a kick by Drew Stevens. I know his numbers from 40 to 45 in his career have not been the best, but that he just drilled that kick. And I'm just curious, you brought up Eric All. I know Kirk talked a little bit during his radio show with Gary on Wednesday about the health of a couple other guys. Was there any update given on Addison Estringa?
No,
who's going to be?
I thought he was going to be back, because Kirk kind of hinted that way on Tuesday, that thought maybe he was going to be back, because he mentioned like Nick DeYoung and he mentioned that Jazz Patterson, it might be another week, and we get to see Jazz out there today. So
Right.
I think that maybe the two other kind of under the radar things that are going on now is Deshaun Lee and TJ Hall are both out. The only hint Kirk has given on Deshaun is that it's going to be a while before he's back.
Yeah.
So, but they're thin it right now. I mean, they're going to have to go to Devin Hilson or Brendan Dace Fernandez.
And I will openly admit I've been an advocate for exploring running Cooper on a few plays on offense here or there, you want to call them gadget plays. They're not going to do it if Deshaun Lee and
PJ Hall are out.
Yeah,
PJ
they're not
Hall.
going to do it if those two guys are out. And they probably wouldn't do it anyways, but I'm not going to push that as long as those guys are out. And Devin Hilson didn't have a Kodak moment on the fair catch interference tonight.
It was not a good moment for him.
No, it was.
He knew it, but I've never seen so many flags thrown on punts than today for both teams. It was like 4, 5, 6 penalties on punts, blocks in the back and holding, and just it was wild. Never seen it.
I'm just curious, what was the overall feel from Kirk regarding his offensive line after tonight? I mean, 174 yards for LaShawn Williams, obviously 82 on one, so it's 24 carries for about 100 yards. You take away the long run, which you can't do, and then Caleb Johnson ran for 41. The run game looks solid, as good as it's looked up in Madison.
He is. I don't want to say he's feeling vindicated, but I bet he's feeling vindicated. For as much heat as he took, and he put himself out there early in the year.
Absolutely.
And said the offensive line was going to be better and they're going to be improved. And the first few weeks, I was like, Kirk, I think you're maybe, I jokingly said he was trying to speak it into existence. And he's proven me wrong. They're playing well. And the biggest thing they've done, the most interesting thing, I think, is that they have changed their stripes. They're not an inside zone, outside zone team anymore. They're a counter team. That's how they're making their bread and butter right now. And who would have thought that the big run was kind of sprung in some ways. There were a lot of guys involved in springing that LaShawn, including LaShawn, who kind of just stiff-armed a guy into the ground. But Johnny Pescuzzi and Hayden Large were two of the guys that, and if you had those guys on the bingo card for springing touchdowns against Wisconsin, good luck. That was
and Hayden Large has not been. I mean, fullback has been used less this year than ever.
A lot less. Yeah, a lot less. And now it's going to be. Boy, I hope they can get Ostrenga back here next week because they need him. They're running short. I mean,
where does this? I mean, honestly, I don't know if Kirk was asked specifically about the passing game, but I think the average fan looks at this and the offense was never good. The last 3 years, it hasn't been good. It was not good with K. It wasn't good with Lachey and all fully healthy. Well, those guys are gone. Ostrenga's gone. Cade's gone. They have been dinged up at running back. Now they seem to be rounding out to health there, knock on wood. Is the passing game broken, Tom? And does Kirk, how does he approach that right now?
I don't know. It's just they've lost so much too. That's the other thing. They lost so much there. And you lost your starting quarterback, your 2 best tight ends, who were your 2 best receivers this year, and you've lost all those things. So to a passing game that wasn't great to begin with.
Right.
So it's Kirk likes to always use the term, it's like you're playing left-handed. You're just playing with your hand that you don't use. So it's a challenge. But I think Deacon got better marginally. I thought he was better today than he was last week.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I thought he was. At least early he was. Early I thought he was.
He didn't have as many airmailed passes.
Yeah,
I mean,
there wasn't the anxiousness. His feet were better. I thought in the second half he was playing not to lose instead of to win.
Yeah.
And he was playing not to make a mistake and holding the ball too long.
And this coaching staff, the coaching staff was playing not to lose. I mean, we were running on 3rd and 6 from midfield, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's an indication that, hey, we trust our defense. We want field position, and we'll do anything not to give up field position. So, Tory Taylor, talk a little bit about what just your thoughts on him, Tom, and where would this team be without him? Where would they have been the last 2.5 years?
With who?
Without Tory.
Oh my God. It's so good. I mean, just
506 yards today.
506 yards of punting.
What?
Punting is winning. It is. It's
On 10 punts. He averaged 51 a punt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
6 inside the 20. So, well, Tom, I appreciate it. And is there anything I missed, anything in particular that Kirk talked about post-game, or maybe some availability with players? I'm assuming you got to talk to some of the guys.
One of the fun moments of tonight was we're sitting in the press room, which is right next to where the Iowa players' locker room is. And all of a sudden, we hear that loud screech, and the jumping begins. Jump Around was played in the Iowa locker room after the game. So, yeah, they were having a little fun.
Tom, you probably saw, I tweeted out during the game. I've never been to Camp Randall before today, and I'm sort of appalled by the fact that the students get there a quarter and a half, 2 quarters late.
Well, part of that is they have to come in a very, very single file organized manner, because years ago they had an incident where some students were killed in a trampoline kind of situation. So they're very sensitive to it. So they make sure that they come in a very organized, slow manner.
Okay. Well, and then they leave, but they leave after Jump Around. I mean, there were a lot of guys that it was 1-score game, and the student section was clearing out.
Oh yeah, we gotta get the Wandos. You gotta get the State Street Brats. You gotta get to Dane's Dairy Bar. You gotta get to all those places.
Absolutely. Tom, appreciate it. Tom Kakert, HawkeyeReport.com. Be sure to check out he and his team's coverage. Always working hard in the beat. And Tom, again, there's no complaining about a win in Camp Randall, and we hope we're talking about another one. We got Minnesota next week. Is that right? I mean, look at the schedule.
Minnesota next week, and it's Iowa now. I said it coming into the game. Iowa sits in the driver's seat now. This Ohio State team, or this Wisconsin team, is not going to beat Ohio State, so they're going to take another L. So Iowa has one loss to play with the rest of the way.
Correct.
And they'll be favored in probably every game, I would think. They're going to be favored next week. They'll be favored against Rutgers and Northwestern and Illinois, and probably favored at Nebraska. So if they go 4-1 the rest of the way, there's going to. I still think somebody's going to grab them and get them. They'll just. It's a law of averages, right?
They could run the table.
Yeah, we could. It wouldn't surprise me if they ran the table. And then you're going to Indianapolis to face maybe Michigan.
And you win that.
I jokingly asked Todd Varmelkamp tonight when we were sitting there waiting for the players and coaches what the line would be for Iowa, Michigan, and Indianapolis. And he said 27.
It was Michigan was favored by, I think, 30.
33 today.
Okay, 33. Boy, 27 is pretty high, but
they put 52 points up today
against that Iowa defense. Yeah, they put it. They 30. They beat them by 39 2 years ago. So that was a really good defense in 21. Last question for me, Tom.
Yeah,
I asked this to Mark Rogers on Tuesday, and preseason I would have told you, yes, absolutely, it's obvious. Don't even need to talk about it. If they're 11-1, assuming they keep winning this way, because the way they play right now and the injuries they're dealing with, they're going to keep winning games, Tom, but they're going to win a lot of close games and ugly games. It's not just if they're playing Northwestern, they're going to be blowing through those teams. So those are going to be ugly wins, just like this one was. They may lose one in there, but if they do run the table and they're 11-1, are they in a position where they win the Big Ten title, they're into the 14 playoff? What does the committee do if they're 12-1 Big Ten champs with a win over either Ohio State, Penn State, or Michigan, given the 31-0 blowout against Penn State, given the schedule, and given how they play? What does the committee do?
They'd have to put them in the playoff. The Big Ten champion is going into the playoff.
So let me ask you this: 12-1 Big Ten champion Iowa, right? With a win, singular win over either Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. You're telling me they're going to get in over potentially an 11-1 East team that doesn't make the championship? What if Michigan has one loss but loses out in the tiebreak?
How about this? How about this, which would really mess it up? It's Iowa 11-1, Penn State finishes 11-1, but out of the money.
Yeah.
And Michigan, then I think you've got an argument. Penn State, I think you do, ahead of Iowa.
And the schedule is
But then, do you say Michigan's out because Iowa beat them head to head, or Ohio State's out because Iowa beat them head to head? Probably. So you take Iowa and Penn State.
I think it's
that win over mighty Iowa.
People may laugh at us for having this conversation, Tom. I think it's a plausible conversation to be had, and I think given the schedule and given this win tonight, it's time for Iowa fans to start rooting against Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan to rack up as many losses as possible before December. So
we'll have one of those teams getting a loss next week.
Yep. Penn State, Ohio State next week. So
yep.
Tom, appreciate you taking the time. We'll talk to you after Floyd next week.
I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Safe travels, brother. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate Tom Kakert of HawkeyeReport.com. Certainly check out his great work. His whole team doing tons of great stuff. They're over at On3 now, and he's been on the beat. Tom's been a part of Hawkeye Sports for a long, long time. Speaking of being a part of Hawkeye Sports, I want to thank our sponsor. First of all, Brad Van Meter and his team down at State Farm. He's been a part of coverage here from the Hawkeye of the Storm here throughout football season, and he was with us last basketball season. If you need cheaper insurance and good coverage through an agent that will care about you, care for your needs, give Brad and his team a call at 515-256-6480. He's out of Des Moines, but he'll help you regardless of where you live in the state of Iowa. Again, 515-256-6480, or visit him online at bradvanmeter.com. Also, Iowa Smokehouse, you've seen their banner scrolling across the bottom of your screen. If you want a better quality snack for game day, especially as it's getting colder, man, meat and beer and chili and all these things that we as guys, girls alike for game day need, certainly check out Iowa Smokehouse. You can buy their awesome products in your local grocery stores, but man, you'll get a great deal by ordering online through our code. It's the code Hawkeyes at iowasmokehouse.com. Again, that's the code Hawkeyes at iowasmokehouse.com. Use that code Hawkeyes for 15% off your order. Tasting is believing with Iowa Smokehouse. All right, folks, we are going to take some calls here. The link to join the show is in the chat. We got a couple of people on hold. I know I'm way behind in the comment section, folks. If you have a comment or a question that you want me to address, there's no way I can get through all the comments. I'm a one-man show this evening. Normally I'm a 1.5, 2-man show. Don is more than 2 men, but if I can at least have a moderator in the chat, I don't have that this evening. So if you have a question, you want me to answer a question or address a comment, have it up on the screen, please share it with the super chat, and we'll get that comment up on the screen. Let's go to OS for Hawks, who's been on hold. OS for Hawks, welcome.
Can you hear me all right, Cory?
You're loud and clear, sir.
Perfect. And I'm going to preface this by saying I am not going to say one single thing about play calling and BF.
Okay. That's
all
fine.
Right. One thing I want to say, the first thing, punt interference call against Iowa. I watched the game. Our guy was never within that yard zone, whatever, but then hit the guy. All I'm saying is I think maybe there could have been an unnecessary roughness call, but as far as interference, I don't think he was within that zone.
How about Devin Hilson?
Yeah. He was the guy receiving the ball from Wisconsin was moving to the right. Hilson was to his right. He was moving to the right. And they're supposed to be that yard buffer, and I don't think he was. But anyway, whatever. We could just throw that out. I want to talk about Sebastian Castro. That guy, he's been unbelievable the last 3 weeks. I mean,
well, he's been more than 3 weeks. He had a pick six against Iowa State. They don't get that pick six, they probably lose that game.
Agreed, but he's been playing lights out, and that's when I want to go about positives. Another thing, I know somebody said something about Graves. You know, if Black's out, the Graves not, but Graves caused a fumble today. So, you know, I mean, I thought the D-line played better today than they had before. I thought Black played great. That guy's really improving.
Let's
It's
hope he's
unbelievable.
healthy. Let's hope he's healthy
Yeah.
because Tom gave
Well, I,
indications.
I I saw the play and it looked like he landed kind of funny on a shoulder. So I don't know how bad it is. I remember the play. I thought I would give you that information. The other thing I wanted to bring up too is the catch early in the game by Green over Cooper DeJean. I honestly think there could have been offensive pass interference because if you looked at the play, Green pushed off of Cooper's helmet and got separation to catch that ball. Now I know that they were calling it close all game. You know, they were allowing hand fighting. But I'm saying is I think Green got an advantage by pushing off against Cooper's helmet and was able to catch the ball. And under my opinion, that's where the lines should be drawn when you're talking about interference.
Well,
Um,
and I made the comment there's a lot of laundry on the field tonight. Tom mentioned that.
yeah,
And the crowd was really upset with a couple of calls. The no call on Jamari in the end zone, that was great coverage. And the one thing I don't like about Camp Randall is they do not show as many replays now as Iowa does. And
yeah.
I would have
Jamari,
loved.
yeah, there was no interference with Jamari. You're right. Even and I ran that play over a couple times as I was watching. So
Yeah.
right. And the other thing I'd bring up, the O line, I thought the run blocking was unbelievable at times tonight. As much as I have ripped on the O line previously, I have to give them credit. I mean, LaShawn had 174 yards. Let's say 175 yards. And they were doing that against 8 and 9 in the box all night long. And I just the one last thing, two last things, but I just want to say Stevens kicking was that first kick would have been good from 60 plus.
Yeah, that is the one thing. The one thing I'll speak my mind on because that's what I do here, as you know. Brian should have kicked that field goal on 4th and 3. And I shouldn't say Brian. That was a Kirk decision.
I agree. I agree with you on that call. I
should have been kicked. 48, 49 yards. You got to kick that football.
I agree 100%.
And it was 0-0 at that point. So to get on the board first would have been huge. Yeah. But it didn't come back to bite him. But I thought that was a miss.
And I think we hit it. I got one last thing. We hit on this earlier. I did see that Astringa early in the week. I saw something that Astringa was possibly going to be back this week. And after what happened tonight, I'm just saying, boy, I hope he's back because we're really going to need that help. But I'll tell you what, going into Camp Randall and winning the game, and I have friends that live in Wisconsin, and thank you very much, Hawkeyes. This will make my next week very pleasurable. And that's all I got, Cory. Thank you. I appreciate your show so much.
Well, I appreciate
you do such a great job on the follow-up. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. DC Hawkeye in the chat. Thank you for the super chat. As Urban Meyer said this week with Iowa's defense, if they had a good offense, they'd be a national title contender. It's called opportunity loss, all because of nepotism. Boy, DC Hawkeye, not mincing words, not obviously I'm sure he's excited about the win as we all are, but that is a fair estimation. And the offense is broken in large part. Now, the run game looked better today. Pass game is non-existent. Play calling is still not very good, but they got the win. And as Tom said, boy, a win is a win when you're in Camp Randall. I know fans get tired of hearing that. And yes, Iowa's going to continue to be the punchline of college football. When your quarterback throws for 37 yards and you're basically down your top 3 tight ends and you still only manage 2 receptions by receivers, by one receiver. Actually, it was Nico Ragaini, I believe, who had the 2 receptions. That's incredible. And if you missed that little clip from the Big Ten Network with Urban Meyer, check it out because it was quite insightful in my opinion. Brian in the chat, do you have anything to say about Caleb Brown? Was he dressed or with the team? We were running out bodies to appear to catch the ball. Brian, I know the comment was made on Tuesday by Kirk that Caleb was back with the team, practiced well. I'm not going to share what people have told me. If you're on message, I'm guessing it's out there on message boards. People have been talking about this. It appears to me that somebody wanted the information that's out there. All right. And there were some rumors about, Caleb and some team meetings. I won't go any further than that. But if you heard those rumors, those are the same things that I was told, Brian. I've been told that by several people, that it involved something that happened with Caleb Brown in some team meetings. And, then Kirk's made the comment Tuesday that he was back and that he was having practices. He wasn't out there today. I didn't see him dressed. I wasn't looking for him. But I can tell you that they do need him, man, they need him. And they got to get these receivers involved. I know I've been saying that, man, ad nauseum. But, your tight ends are such a weapon, but, man, you're getting destroyed right now with injuries back there. Get your wideouts involved. Man, I know they don't have a lot of confidence in Deacon Hill. I think that's obvious right now. And I don't know that they should have a lot of confidence in Deacon Hill. But if Joe Labus and Marco Linez right now aren't ready, then he's what you got, and you've got to figure out a way to get the ball to your wideouts. Tom made the comment that Iowa was Deacon was playing not to lose in that second half. The coaches were coaching not to lose in that second half. They were not allowing Deacon to do anything, really. They took one shot. It was kind of just a Hail Mary shot from their own side of the field at one point. Everything else was basically a run. And it's fine. The run game worked, and they controlled field position. Tory Taylor controlled field position. This is how they win football games, folks. And we can have the macro conversations about Iowa and about this program another night and, what this team looks like moving forward with a more difficult schedule. But the bottom line is this is how they win games right now. All right, let's go to our phone line. We'll see if we can get our phone line to work. Thank you for calling from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
Hey, Cory. This is Matt in Knoxville. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Be quite honest. Caught a bit surprised. I'm going to go out on the limb and say I give Iowa no chance to win this football game tonight. Just solely on the fact that the last few times we've seen Iowa, go into Madison, the offense has been pretty much non-existent. But I just wanted to really say, I know a lot of people are going to say, about what they say about Brian Ferentz at all times, but as the game progressed, I just can't help but think, the right thing to do was just, hey, the running game was our best bet to win, and I think I commend Brian Ferentz, Coach Ferentz, for that, and just putting the faith in the defense. So I know there's a lot of haters, but I think that in this situation, especially once Mordecai got out for Wisconsin, that was the best play, and a lot of credit for the Hawks there.
I don't know that I give Brian a ton of credit for doing that. I know what you're saying on that. What else are they going to do? They have no faith in the passing game right now. They're down their best pass catchers. And you're right, the run game was working. I give Brian some credit for the run game working because he's the OC. Just like I'm going to knock him when the offense isn't working, I'm going to give him credit for the run game working. Now, how much of that is George Barnett and Liddell Betts and the position coaches? Obviously, Kirk is. I know I was told by someone who was at practice earlier in the week that Kirk was really working with the offensive line as he should be. But no, it's fair to give Brian credit for the improvements. As far as play calling, they just don't have many options right now. There's not much working. And if the run game is halfway working, especially in a game like this where Wisconsin couldn't move the ball, control the ball, avoid turnovers, avoid putting the ball in the air. And Deacon had some weird throws today that were bounced up in the air and could have easily been picked. And they kind of avoided disaster. And you're right. I give credit to the running backs as well because they held on to the ball. LaShawn ran with courage, and that's what you needed.
Yeah, I honestly think, it wasn't even about just the calling game. It's just realizing, the adjustment of the game and how the flow of the game was going. And my other thought was, I truly think that, Luke Fickell's, I think, a good football coach. Nothing against him, but I couldn't help but feel like as the game went along, like Wisconsin was what traditionally they have been the last decade or however long they've played against Iowa while I've been watching. they've been a traditional power offense in the running game, and I just couldn't help but feel like if they stuck with that, they would have won the game. But you're right, that Luke Fickell is back to his style, and I feel like we kind of took advantage of that a little bit on defense. I don't know. Did you see that as well?
I was surprised. I'll say this: I was surprised by how Wisconsin came out in that second half, moving the football with the backup quarterback, and Iowa bent a lot in that third quarter. Wisconsin got 2 field goals out of it, which was obviously it's a lot of points in the game, this low scoring. So yeah, I don't know what to make of that offensive attack, and obviously I don't want to say they're trying to put a square peg through a round hole or vice versa, but they have so much personnel carryover from the Paul Chryst era, and Braylon Allen was really good in the second half at times. But you're right. I don't know. It didn't look smooth. It didn't look connected with Mordecai, but it has. I mean, I think you got to give Iowa's defense credit. The front four, even though it hasn't been real dominant in pass rushing, they're solid. Linebackers, I said earlier, solid. Obviously, Cooper and Jamari and Xavier and Sebastian are playing really well right now. So I think I give more credit to the Iowa defense for making that offense look kind of befuddled and kind of disjointed, because that's what I saw, at least in that first half. And they got things going in the third quarter, but Iowa made adjustments and bent enough but didn't break.
Absolutely. And I tweeted it out after the game, but like it or not, America, Iowa football wins ugly. So my last point is just, LaShawn Williams, Sebastian Castro, Tory Taylor, shout out to those guys. Go Hawks, and have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the call. Yeah, I mean, again, just it's amazing with this defense. I made the comment week 1 after that first performance. I didn't think Iowa's D played very well against Utah State. They gave up 14 points. But people have said over the course of the first month of the season, this defense is kind of taking a step back. And I've been hesitant to say that. Now, they don't have a Lucas Van Ness, right? They don't have Jack Campbell. I just have so much faith and confidence in Phil Parker. And I don't know if Phil Parker was the one that called the timeout there when Wisconsin was right prior to the Wisconsin safety, but he dialed up a blitz with Sebastian Castro, and whatever he dialed up that was different than the original play call, the initial play call, was the right change. And Sebastian goes out there, makes a huge play on the quarterback. They force a fumble, ends up being a safety, and that really was the play that put the game away. And then, of course, Sebastian topped it off with an interception late. So just really impressed with everybody defensively. And they're a little undermanned right now. Again, dealing with some injuries up front and injuries with some depth in the DB room. Cooper DeJean is the most important player in this team right now. And I thought before the season started, I would have said it was Cade McNamara. He's out. And I think offensively, Eric Hall was the most important player heading into the game. Now he's out. So who's the most important player on offense? Probably LaShawn Williams right now. I mean, I think he's running with authority. I think Jazz Patterson has the potential to be the best back in this room, but he's still not 100%. I just love the quick twitch that LaShawn Williams has. He finds the hole quickly. He doesn't delay, if that makes sense. He doesn't dilly-dally getting up to the line, and he's got good burst. He's got some breakaway speed, too. We've talked about Caleb Johnson's breakaway speed. How about LaShawn Williams' breakaway speed? Eric Goldberg. Thank you, Erica. Iowa's defense starting to look more like the Iowa defense we know and love. 100%, Erica. And they just keep getting better. It's amazing. Even in spite of the offensive struggles, we think about how bad this offense has been. The defense has not missed a step over the last 2.5 years, really, in large part. And you could argue that the offense is worse. They ran the ball well today. The passing game is non-existent. How many times did they punt today? 10. And yet the defense doesn't miss a beat. It's incredible. Sebastian Castro, the human missile player of the game. Boy, Kenton giving the player of the game award to Sebastian Castro. I might surprise you with my player of the game award in a second. This was a tough one, but might surprise you. Actually, let's go ahead and talk about my player of the game. So our RTI Threads player of the game is actually LaShawn Williams. 25 carries, 174 yards on the ground, 82 rushing yards, 82-yard rush touchdown that really broke this game open. And let's not forget, that, as Tom said earlier, Caleb's been dinged up, Jazz has been dinged up, and at one point, LeSean was the only healthy back. And this has been traditionally one of the toughest places to run the football. And those are good numbers. You just can't argue with those numbers. Even the naysayers that say, well, yeah, you take the 82 yards away, and you still ran for about 100 yards on 92 yards on 24 carries. Those, you can live with those numbers. And Caleb Johnson, again, eye test didn't tell me he had a great day, but 41 yards, not great, not a great average. 2.1 is not a great average, believe me. But they're getting less negative plays now than they were week 2, and certainly far less negative rushing plays than they were last year. It appears to me, not being an offensive guy, it appears to me that a big part of that is the change with the adjustments with the more counter action in the scheme. Not as much inside zone as Tom said earlier, but that's why we have Don Patterson. I'm going to be anxious to get his take once he watches this whole game back, and we talked to him on the air on Monday. So LeSean Williams is our RTI Threads player of the game for his performance. Sebastian Castro, don't get me wrong, was great. I thought Cooper DeJean was really good. Torrey Taylor was phenomenal. Hard to argue against a guy who punts for 500 some yards and averages 51 yards a punt, and had a long of 60 and had 6 punts inside the 20. By the way, I do have my Cooper DeJean CD3 Laces Up shirt on. Be sure you check it out, folks. Visit cd3lacesup.com. All the links to our sponsors are in our description. Let's get to our next caller. Tony's on hold. Tony, welcome.
Hey, Cory, how are you doing?
Doing good, Tony. How are you?
Good. Looking forward to hearing from Don on Monday, but I was just curious, when you look at the possible paths to victory that could have gone for this game, I mean, everything went nearly perfect, right?
I mean, in large part, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say this. Well, let me time out just for a second, and whatever point I'll let you go, Tony. But I will say that a couple things that could have ended this game sooner. There was a muffed punt for Wisconsin that they recovered. And typically, Don has talked about this. If you have a muffed punt, typically the opponent's going to recover. Wisconsin got on that ball. There were a couple of potential picks. Xavier Wampa got his hand on one. So there were a couple of plays that, had they went Iowa's way, maybe this game would have been over quicker. But you're right. For the most part, Iowa, they played to script as well as they could.
Well, and the one in the end zone, right? I mean, that safety could have very easily been.
Absolutely. Could have been a touchdown.
And, it's kind of fascinating, too, when you think about it. I heard you talk a couple of times on your show this week about, Kirk wants to run and tell everybody we're going to run. Everybody knows that's exactly what they did.
But they haven't been able to do that over the last – they haven't been able to do that more often than not. But you're right. Tonight –
Absolutely not. You're right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point out that I think it's okay for people to understand, more than two things can be true. To see the game like tonight, to be very happy with the offensive line and the running, and really went up there and played physical and shoved it down their throat, and be happy with the win, because I was like you. I didn't care how it looked, just get the win. But to also realize, hey, half of our offense is broken. And to want to see something different there, to see improvement, right? So I just think it's okay for everybody to feel that two things can be true.
Amen. Yeah. And I've heard from some people over the last couple of weeks, especially as the injuries have piled up, they're afraid of the injuries being used as excuses when the evaluation time comes for the staff and whatnot. Those are problems, that may happen, but ultimately, like you said, they're winning games the way they win games. And until they stop winning games, that may be next year, but until they stop winning games,
right,
doesn't matter how ugly it is. You and I know that as well as anybody, Tony.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that was 3.5 hours of pure entertainment. It was hard to watch at times. There was, those 5 or 6 or 7 possessions in a row that were just terrible. But all in all, it's a little hard to argue with the play calling. Some of the play calling, I mean, there were plays here and there that I was like, oh, what are they doing? But the game as a whole, a path to victory.
I don't think play calling, when you are down as many weapons as they're down, I don't think play calling is all that difficult. Now, I could be wrong on that. Maybe Don will tell me I'm a fool for saying that. But, man, I hate to say this, but 3rd and 9, it's never been so obvious that you run the ball, right?
Right.
You're not putting the ball in the air with Deacon right now. You're
it probably clarified the play sheet, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it made it a little easier for Brian. But I give him credit. Those are the right calls. It's just like playing a bad opponent on Saturday, Tony. you can't judge a guy for doing what he was supposed to do. And they did what they were supposed to do, play calling on the field. And, you got to give the coaches credit for that.
And I'm seeing a lot of comments too about, and I apologize if you talked about this and I missed it, but, Wisconsin's been kind of boat racing some opponents here. Iowa obviously was, they were supposed to hit, Wisconsin favored by 9.5, 10 points. And then Iowa took it to them. And now, seeing a lot of comments like, wow, Wisconsin's terrible. And, is it some of both? Maybe they weren't quite as good as we thought they were, or Iowa played a little better than everybody expected, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think Iowa's defense makes teams look bad. I don't know. Obviously I didn't think Mordecai looked great, and it hurts when he's down. I think Braylon Allen was obviously dinged up. I wasn't watching the TV film, but it sounded like he left the game briefly. I didn't even notice it until someone texted and brought it to my attention.
Yeah. I didn't see what happened that even started that.
Yeah, apparently he was out. And he wasn't 100%, looked pretty good in that third quarter. But no, I just think Iowa's defense makes teams look bad. And, those well-timed, well-orchestrated blitz calls by Phil, it's a work of art because they don't bring pressure a lot, but boy, he brings it at the right time.
He is a absolute witch with that. So thank you very much. Want to let other callers join, but
thank you for the call, Tony. Appreciate it, sir. Brody Smith in the chat. Sebastian Castro was an absolute dog tonight. The dude really impressed me. Gotta love going into Camp Randall and physically dominating a tough Badgers team. Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat, Brody. By the way, our phone line is sponsored once again by Iowa Smokehouse. So we appreciate Iowa Smokehouse sponsoring the call-in line. We're not going to be taking as many calls tonight, but we will be doing a live show on Monday. All right. And we're going to be making a call-in show. So be right back here Monday evening. It's going to be a fun week as we count down the days to the Floyd of Rosedale. Kenton says Sebastian Castro, the human missile player of the game. I think I got that one, but hey, we'll throw it up there again. Leon, our QB for years have played scared. Who was the QB's coach? Well, technically it's Brian Ferentz, but I think by all accounts it is a guy named John Budmeyer. I think that's pretty much clear at this point. All right, we're going to put our caller on hold here. Let's go we've got a couple of callers. We need to wrap this thing up, at least for tonight, in the coming minutes. So we're going to try to kind of go a little bit faster than normal on our callers. First of all, Ricky's been on hold. Ricky, welcome.
Hey, Cory. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm just wondering what's up with the 20.9 PPG tracker in the top right corner here.
Well, that's the Brian Ferentz points per game tracker. That's where we're at right now. 20.9 points per game on the season through 7 games.
Where's the wins and losses tracker in the top right?
Well, there is no wins and losses tracker in the top right.
Why?
Everybody knows they're 6-1.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't we put that up there? Who cares about the 20.9?
Who cares about it? Well, Iowa released it as criteria prior to the season and amended his contract. So obviously they care.
Yeah, but we don't care, do we? I thought you weren't a Brada fan, were you?
I'm not a Brada fan. Barda's not the reason that thing is public.
Yes, it is. What's the reason?
I can tell you Barda's not the reason it's public.
What is the reason?
Barda's not the reason.
So what is the reason?
I'm not at liberty to tell you the reason, but Brada is not the reason it's public. Why do you have a problem with it?
I thought Brada wrote the contract. I have a problem with it because we're sitting here at 6-1.
Mm-hmm.
That
thing's going to be up there. That thing's going to be up. Ricky, that thing's going to be up there all year, every week.
Yeah,
they can be 11-1, and it's going to be up there.
What's that?
They can be 11-1, and that tracker is going to be up there.
Why though?
Because it's relevant. People talk about it. It's relevant conversation.
What about the 6-1 conversation? Is that relevant?
We're here every single week talking about that. We don't need to have it up in the corner of the screen.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ricky. But I'm not trying to be short with Ricky. I'm just this has been a very much a relevant topic. And I said when it first came out, I said, we're going to track it just like everybody else is tracking it. And it is relevant because I will put it out there. And no, I hate coming on here and saying I'm not at liberty to say why that was made public. It was dumb that it was made public. I've said it several times, but the fact of the matter is the powers that be decided that they'd make it public. And yes, Brada was involved with the contract negotiation. He was at the helm when this whole thing went down. But I've been told on good authority, he is not the reason that it was made public. I've been told on good authority that he is not the one who wanted it public. Okay. So anyways, I didn't mean to cut Ricky off, but it's relevant. But we're talking about 6-1 Iowa every single week. And look, they won this game 15-6. That's the main topic of our show, right? So I've mentioned the points per game tracker, I think, twice now. So if it wasn't brought up, I probably wouldn't have mentioned it again. All right. Brian in the chat, he says, just like that, Ferentz quagmire sucks me back in. Ferentz quagmire sucks me back in. Appreciate that. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. More post-game coverage here. Iowa defeating Wisconsin 15-6. We'll be back with more in just a second.
Imagine the Possibilities is dedicated to empowering people to reach individual achievement across the spectrum of life. We believe in creating lasting relationships, empowering people for success, and cultivating joy. Our team of passionate people work each day to serve our communities in ways that create a lasting impact. We believe in creating opportunities for people with disabilities to achieve goals, build skills, and celebrate all that's possible. If you want to learn more about us or join our exceptional team, visit us at imagineia.org.
By the way, one more thing. I figured I should add this in because, and our caller that just called in did not make this a point, and I don't know what, I understand his point in bringing up the fact that Iowa's 6-1, and nobody's debating that. As it relates to the little man next to the 20.9 right there, I don't evaluate him based on the team's record. All right, that's not how I'm going to look at this. Now I know some people do, and I don't agree with that. So at the end of the year, if they're 11-1 or not, he ought to be evaluated based on criteria that's been set forth. Now I think the whole points per game thing is not good criteria because it's not true to the offense's performance. We've talked about this at length, but my point is, if you're evaluating Brian Ferentz based on wins and losses, and I'm even if that gets brought up again, I'm just going to move forward because we're limited on time this evening, and we've had so much time to talk about this. Anyways, let's go to our next caller. The B is waiting on hold. The B, welcome.
Yo. We won.
Yo.
We won. I
Absolutely.
knew we'd win. This was an awesome win, Cory. I love it. I'm Homer crazy right now on this. Watched it with a bunch of folks up here in Idaho. We went nuts. We knew we'd win this game. Here's the problem. Big downer right here. That all hit. That was Bush League. Straight up. That was a headhunt. That was bad. Bad up all the way. They should have knocked somebody's block off for that. But anyway,
yeah.
The thing is, the loss of him, the loss of obviously not using any of our wide receivers. I'll just call that a loss. This does skew how I view the rest of the season. I did predict it with you as a 10-2, maybe a rogue loss to Rutgers. But one thing I can say today that I loved, the game ball for me, that is a team win. I saw the offensive line actually passed the eyeball test today. They looked mad. They looked like, man, I loved Colby and Feth in those guard positions. Dude, that just felt like it clicked. I loved that. That just looked great. But game ball all around, the team looked like it was a desperation game, like their backs were against the wall in this game, and we won. It was just they fought and they won, and I love that. And one more thing, just so you know, Caleb Brown did dress today. So
okay, good to know. I didn't know that. I appreciate you telling me that.
He is actually smiling in the picture that there is on Twitter or X that you see holding up the trophy. So he is smiling too.
They got to get him
that. Well,
they got to get him involved. They got to get him on the field.
But he's smiling, so
that's good.
That's a good sign. I'll just take it for that right now. But yeah, I thought that was just a great team win today, and it gave them a lot of confidence in all aspects of the game. But man, it just felt good. It felt really good today, and I'm really glad I didn't have to come back on here and eat crow. That's another thing that I felt really good about. So
I appreciate your prediction, and I'm happy to eat crow and say I was wrong with my prediction. So,
well, hey man, like I said, this has been a topsy-turvy season so far, and with these injuries, if they continue to mount, I don't know. Like I said, all bets are off. Then I will say this unequivocally, no doubt about it. If this team goes to the Big Ten championship, we need to have a come to Jesus honest talk here that we're going to get creamed. Okay, there's just no. Honestly, like it's
let's save that conversation.
So I'm just going to take it for what it is during the regular season. Let's just be happy with the win. Go Hawks, and let's see what happens. Another thing to keep in mind, Cory, about the end of the season, about this whole Brian Ferentz talk, and I know we don't want to stray off on this, but kind of keep your eye on Bill Belichick. There's a lot of hot seat rumors with him out there, meaning leaving, obviously. Now, I don't know if he wants to go out on those terms or maybe go somewhere else. But because of his connection, and it seems the Ferentzes always have that cover with New England and Bill and that connection with Kirk, there's a possibility there that if things go maybe the way that some people want it to go, I could see that Ferentz-Belichick connection continuing somewhere else in the pros. So there is that too. So people should kind of keep an eye on that as well, because I think where Bill Belichick goes, maybe the Ferentzes go. There may be
Brian,
sort of
tie. Brian is more hireable now than he was
exactly.
So, yeah.
So that's a really interesting dynamic that's happening out there. But I'll let you get back to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Good win, go Hawks, Cory.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you, sir. The B calling in, and yes, he did give him credit. He came on here last week and predicted the win, so we appreciate that. And Erica, just reading this, not ripping our collar. Reading it because Erica submitted it via super chat. Is Ricky Brian Ferentz's cousin, or maybe Brian Ferentz himself? Leon said, second and third quarter, we stopped blocking backside of all running plays. I have to go back and look at the tape, Leon. And man, it's so hard to see what's happening besides, hey, we got 5 yards, or hey, bust one for 20. When you're in the stands, at least it is for me. Maybe Don Patterson has developed the art. Now, I did like being up as high as we were because you get a full view right next to the press box, actually. So thank you for the super chat, Leon. And I do want to make sure we give our due to RTI Threads. You saw the RTI Threads player of the game, LaShawn Williams, 25 rushes, 174 yards, 82-yard rush. And you can see the Cooper DeJean signed shirt. Get your apparel, get your merch by going to cd3lacesup.com. Again, that's cd3lacesup.com. And they got great stuff, folks. And they've also got some deals with some other Iowa athletes, including Carson Shire and Aiden Hall, Zach Lutmer, a few guys who are going to be big here in the coming years. So be sure to check out RTI Threads. Also, want to give a shout out to Iowa Smokehouse. They've been sponsoring us for quite some time. We appreciate Iowa Smokehouse being a part of the channel and a part of the show. If you need a better quality snack, and who doesn't, be sure to check out what they have to offer at iowasmokehouse.com. Tasting is believing. Use the code Hawkeyes for 15% off your order at iowasmokehouse.com. And also Brad Van Meter and his team down at State Farm. Call them at 515-256-6480. 515-256-6480 or online at bradvanmeter.com. Get a quote on auto insurance. Sounds like auto rates are as low as they've been with State Farm right now, so definitely give him a call and let him know that we sent you. I appreciate Brad sponsoring the show. And as you can see, I'm not in a real private area right now, so you can probably hear the noise around me. All right, we've got just a few minutes left, and we've got to be quick with our calls. We're going to go first to our first caller. We've got about 30 seconds to our first caller. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame. Who's on the line? Is there anyone there?
Trent, it's me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Trent.
All right. Good deal, Cory. Well, oh, man. I don't even know where to start. Well, for me, I'm going to say this. The play of the game for me was when Cooper made that tackle on Braylon Allen on that fourth down. to me, that's the play of the game. I said to my girlfriend sitting on the couch, I said, if Wisconsin scores here, the game's over. And that was their first drive, right?
Yeah. Huge.
And you just know if you go down 7-0 there, the game's over.
I think you go down 3-0 momentum. That was one of my keys. I was right about that. Whoever got on the board first would win this game, and Iowa got on the board first and they won. I thought that was I agree with you. I just, those first couple of drives are huge with the way Iowa's playing right now, the way they have to play because of this, the makeout of everything.
Yeah, and Cory, I'm just going to say this, man. If they run the table, and as Iowa fans, and believe me, I'm the first. I called you Wednesday. I told you I think I agree with you. This is Kurt's last year, but I'm going to say this right now. If Iowa runs the table, this was nothing short of one of the best coaching jobs I'll probably ever witness in my life.
Solid. Yeah, definitely. I agree. I thought it was a really good coaching job last year to keep those guys together. From a head coaching perspective, just what they were up against. Now, that doesn't take away from what I feel about the staff and the offense and everything, but no, I agree. Trent, I apologize in advance. I gotta cut you short because I'm running out of time here, and I feel like I'm in an awkward environment right now here at the show, so you might be able to hear some of the background noise. But
hey, one more thing, quick, Cory.
yeah.
We talked Wednesday. Brian Grubbs, that's the OC of Washington. Let's keep our eye out, huh?
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to our next caller. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
This is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hi. Yeah, great victory today. Keep it real short there. The season's kind of turning in. Has the same feel of that St. year 2005 season where we lost all our running backs. That season where we're down for a string. Running back Sam Brownlee and sophomore Duke Tate led us to the Big Ten championship. So this kind of feels like that season because now we're losing all the passing portion. We got our running back, so it's kind of just flip-flop a little bit. So just kind of have that same feel.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's definitely some shades. I mean, I wasn't real old during that season, but the injury issues and being able to power through and win with kind of some unknown commodities, especially going to at tight end, is going to be a storyline moving forward. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. If we get, like you guys were talking, get kind of string the back and be in, I mean, that will definitely help some flow. But yeah, we just forced us to the offense to go to the wide. We have to maybe tweak some plays to try to get simple passes, get the receivers, give them chances to run after the catch. Because we're going to show some kind of passing game if we're going to try to run the team. I don't think we can run all the way through the next 5 weeks.
Right. Yep, I agree.
But that's all I wanted. Just have the same feel as that season. Just where we lost all of our running backs that year. Now we're losing all of our passing players. So just kind of have the same feel. Hopefully the same results at the end that we were.
The only difference is that offense was really good. I mean, it could have been really good prior to losing those guys. This offense wasn't good before losing the guys. So, but I definitely I get what you're saying. And that's why the head coach keeping guys together and keeping this team together. You got to have faith in Kirk for doing that.
Exactly. So, again, excellent victory, dude. Excellent job. So hopefully should be a win next week. So, but thanks for taking my call, Cory.
Thank you, sir. All right, we've got to go quick fire on these last couple. So, again, stand by. Jay is on the line. Jay, welcome.
Good evening, Cory. How are you?
I'm good, Jay. How are you?
Good. I'd like to follow up on the conversation with Ricky. There was a comment after he logged off where essentially I believe you stated that the job of the OC should not be judged by wins and losses.
Not exclusively.
Not exclusively. I agree with that, but at the end of the day, the circumstances have changed significantly from the beginning to the end of the season, right? Where at the beginning of the season, we had Caleb Johnson, Jazzian Patterson. We had Cade McNamara, the MVP of the team. We had the best tight end duo in the country. And we have lost those 3 players. We've been without Jazzy and we've been without Caleb. But the goal of the coaching staff does not change. Brian Ferentz needs to do whatever it takes to win football games. And the game plan changes, right? I'm sitting here watching USC play Notre Dame, a very good defensive team. I'm watching Oregon State play UCLA. USC and UCLA both have 3 interceptions in the first half. If Iowa went out there trying to score 30, 40 points, Deacon Hill would likely have at least 3 picks in a half watching him play, right? So I think Brian Ferentz is obviously
doing a great job.
No, I believe that he should have better talent on the team, but with the talent on the team, he's doing what he needs to do to win games, which is protect the football and run the football.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, and you sound like Kirk. That's fine. But the bottom line is, in college football, coaches are in charge of recruiting players, developing players. Injuries are a part of football. And Kirk will tell you that. Injuries are a part of football. And you talk about, well, they lost these guys. They had 2 great tight ends last year, and the offense was atrocious. Sam Laporta is playing on Sundays as a rookie. He's fabulous. They had 2 really good tight ends last year, and we're bad. They had a senior quarterback last year, and we're bad. So I get what you're saying, and I'd like to talk about it more when there's not screaming children in the background. But
what are your thoughts on the USC? Caleb Williams has 3 interceptions in the first half. More for UCLA has 3 interceptions in the first half.
Jay,
both those teams are put in very poor situations because of aggressive play calling.
He's the Heisman. He's the returning Heisman winner last year. But I gotta let you go, Jay. I appreciate the call in again. I just at a better time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Apologize to people in advance. It's turned into a zoo. Let's go to Cory, who's on hold. Cory, I got to be brief with you, sir. Appreciate you calling in.
All right. Am I live?
You are.
Okay, awesome. All right. Couple things. The B called it, and I got to call it out. And but I'm fearful of his predictions for the future because he said we're going to beat Wisconsin. And then he also made some other predictions, which scare me. So, but all I could think of was the B. So credit to him. Secondly, point I want to make about Kirk Ferentz. He doesn't give up on people, and he lets them make mistakes, and he lets them learn. He lets them improve. Couple of improvements that I've seen. Jamari Harris. He got burned so many times in recent weeks. I could see somebody wanting to bench him. Well, guess what? He played fantastic, tight coverage under the gun all night tonight. What an improvement. He deserves some award for most improved because I was scared to death when they started throwing against Jamari Harris. I thought we're going to get smoked. I am very impressed by his performance tonight. Second,
he better. They can't bench him right now. They got no depth back there, so he better be playing well.
Right. Secondly, the running backs, they're just running at a whole nother level the last couple of weeks. To whoever's credit that is, so be it. Another point, O-line. Kirk hinted at an improvement with the O-line. I think we're starting to get those big game breakers once or twice a game. And that's Iowa football. Running the ball and busting a big play, blowing a hole wide open. Now, Leon made the point that we stopped getting the crackback blocks.
Yeah.
Protecting the backside. And I noticed that too. That's concerning. I'll be interested in Don's take on that. But aside from that, I just think the power we are running with, these are 2 between Caleb and LaShawn the last 2 weeks. It's like we just picked up 2 players in the portal. They're at a whole nother level. they are so impressive. Their performance, the way they're running. Another thing, the linebackers. I love Higgin. I love Jay Higgins. I'm the Higgin. Okay. And I'm Hawk. I'm Hawk 6X now, with Higgins. But that said, I was a little bit concerned. Minus Campbell and Seth Benson, felt like those guys were given 3 and 4 yards on the rush before they could stop it, as opposed to Campbell and Seth would stop it after 1 to 3 yards. I just felt like we were giving up that extra yard with Jackson. That said, I was really fearful. What happens? We snuffed them out tight, 1 to 2 yards, and we snuffed that out. And I'm really impressed by our linebacker room now. Everybody is improving, and I just think that you have a guy like Kirk Ferentz, where all of us lose our patience and want to give up quicker than he does. He stays true to his players. He trusts the process that they are going to improve. Sometimes not quick as we need them to, but he's a good man. And if you see it in the long game, he can win because he doesn't give up on guys. He doesn't jerk them and break their confidence. He gives them a chance to improve, and you're seeing it across the board with these players. Another thing, Sebastian Castro was playing some softer coverages in recent weeks and given up a 7-yard pass before he get up. And some of the big time plays, just overall, I think the defense tightened up coverages. So impressive. And I got my tickets. My family will be there for Minnesota, and I don't know if I should buy my Big Ten championship tickets. I did it last year and I jinxed us. And I'm fearful if but that said, one last question for you. What's with you like to take it on the road, but you don't go to the home games? What's up with that? I just find it intriguing.
Well, first of all, I live in Ames, so I'm gonna be a Jack Trice. Second of all, I was at Utah. I was at the Utah State game. I was at game 1. I've only missed I missed Michigan State, Purdue, and what was the other gimme? Western Michigan.
Okay.
So it's logistically, Cory, it's very hard to do the post-game show at games.
Oh, and let me butt in. You're a champ. I mean, with what you're dealing with, so much. And you do a very professional job. You're a little bit more of a critic towards Brian Ferentz than I am. I go with whatever KF goes with. I trust him, and I'm with him 100%. Yeah. So I'm drinking the KF Kool-Aid.
That's okay.
You're a critic, but you're not unfair. I appreciate your take. I mean, there's some fans that I think get to the point of cancerous, and I think it's not healthy for recruits. It's not healthy for just the social network presence to have a negative connotation with respect to the fan base. And so, but anyway, that said, I really night, but in KF, I try.
I appreciate the call.
And go Hawks! And
Absolutely.
Hey, I got my Swarm ale, and I got my Swarm card. And guess what?
There you go.
I'm an Iowa State grad, and I'm all in for the Hawkeyes. Okay, I have been my whole life. The greatest day of my dad's life was the Penn State game, 2021. He died 2 weeks after. He climbed to the top of Kinnick with me. He had to drink like 8 5-hour energies to make it. but he climbed to the top of Kinnick with me. Greatest game of his life. Nico Ragaini scoring, getting basically blown up from behind and blasted into the end zone. And greatest game of his life, or greatest day of my dad's life. He died 2 weeks later. But I'm all in for the Hawkeyes, and I'm ready to go. I'm getting my Big Ten championship tickets. But though I disagree with your take, sometimes you're a little more critical than I'm a Kool-Aid drinker. I'm all in for KF. Thank you for what you do. And
Thank you, Cory.
great show. And don't let the background noise deter you from continuing the show, because we really thoroughly enjoy it. And it's, I mean, that's, those belly laughs out of those kids are awesome too. So
Thank you, Cory.
we're all in. Don't go.
But hey, by the way, you got a good first name and it's spelled right. So I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And
oh, I lost you. Hold on. I got you back.
okay. So we need to continue our enjoyment of this win. So don't cut us off. You got 45 minutes left in you. Come on.
Oh yeah. I don't know that the wife and the rest of my party do, but I certainly. Hey, I'll be back with you. I hope you call in on Monday, because we'll probably be putting in a 2+ hour show Monday with Don.
No, you guys do such a great job.
Thank you, sir,
for what you do. Go Hawks.
Appreciate it. Go Hawks. Absolutely. And you see, I did have to make some adjustments to my device here as we are dealing with some opposition, some persecution. Jared in the chat. Appreciate the super chat, Jared. Great win, Hawk fans. That D of yours is crazy good. Hopefully see you in Indy. Very well could happen. Honestly, looked good earlier today. And I think we got that one from Brian, Sebastian, Brody. I think we got all these. I think there's a couple super chats. Maybe that I missed? No, I think we got all the super chats. If I'm missing your super chat, I apologize in advance for that. I mentioned earlier, RTI Threads, CD3 laces up. This is the Cooper DeJean official merchandise. Cooper DeJean's official merch. He's got golf balls. He's got clothing. He's got all kinds of stuff. Check it out, and definitely give Cooper DeJean your support. That dude's going to be playing on Sundays. Really, really impressed with him throughout the year. And boy, he's important. I've toyed with the idea on the show of potentially bringing him in for an offensive package or two. But boy, with the depth issues right now at corner, you probably don't do that with TJ Hall and Deshaun Lee out. You get those guys back, I'm all for potentially running a play or two for Cooper DeJean. You can't play scared. I understand trying to protect him. All right, we got to go quick on these last calls, folks. I keep saying that. Bobby's gone. No, Bobby's here. Bobby, welcome.
Hello.
Yeah,
just
hello.
got here.
Hey.
How's it been? I just got done eating dinner. I was like, well, I'll see if he's still on.
I am still here somehow.
Not too much. You probably talked a lot about the game. I just wanted a quick question. Did you watch any of the Oregon-Washington game at all?
I have not. I've been, let's see, I've got USC.
Yeah, I think Pitt just scored.
Notre Dame over in the corner. And we're even losing lights now. Like, this whole thing is coming down.
Well,
what's going on?
And then, do you say you were doing one on Monday?
We'll be back Monday night. Yep. So save your good questions for Monday night.
I'll probably come up with something good. I just wanted to check in, see how it went. I'll probably come up with something more Monday, let you keep going. Look like you're in a different spot than you normally are.
I'm up in Madison, man.
Oh, that's nice.
I am not at my home base.
Hey, win's a win. That's
win's a win.
All right, I'll let you keep going. I just want to say how it's going.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you Monday. All right. Trucking along here, and we've lost lights, we've lost devices, we've lost a lot of things, and trying to keep my patience here, folks. So we'll see if we can finish these last couple callers. James H is on the line. James, welcome.
How are you, Cory?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Hey, I just wanted to say I'm happy we won, even though offensively it seemed like an ugly game. But I will say this, over the last at least 2 games, maybe 3, I think our running game is really coming along.
It certainly appears that way, yeah. And the numbers would indicate that, especially against the Wisconsin run defense that's usually really good, albeit a different coaching staff, but they've been solid again against the run this year. Maybe not elite, but really solid. And to do it on the road is impressive.
Yeah.
Without a passing game. Without a passing game.
Exactly. And really and truly, though, running the football, that's always been Iowa's MO under Kirk, period. You know, they all the way back to 99 when he took over. That's been his MO. Run the football, run the football.
Yep.
You know, and the fact that we have no passing game and we were able to run the ball like we did against Wisconsin, albeit, like you said, a different system there, that's still impressive.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, you're right. It was ugly. The offense still is not, you can't be one-dimensional. But with the schedule they have, they might be able to be one-dimensional. And they won this game, they're one-dimensional. It's a good Wisconsin team they played. How good? I don't know. But right now, their was very one-dimensional. But the schedule's weak, and they're in the driver's seat of this division right now.
Yeah. One last thing. Have you heard any update on All's injury?
Tom Kakert jumped on earlier and just said Kirk Ferentz noted that it was not good, but they don't have anything official yet.
I hope it's not an ACL or anything like that. It didn't look good, though.
I agree.
But at least it looks like we're somewhat still pretty deep at the tight end position. So, but
losing depth by the minute, but absolutely. James, I appreciate it.
I'm going to get off here. I hope you have a good rest of your night, Cory, and go Hawks.
Go Hawks, sir. Thank you. Appreciate James being here. And Brian in the chat says, let Coach eat first before the 4-hour show Monday. It ain't going to be no 4-hour show. I can tell you that right now. But I've said that before, and then it's like 3.5 hours. Let me see here. RTI Threads. Give them one final plug again. This kept me warm today, folks. This is the time to get your CD3 Laces Up, your Cooper DeJean apparel. Shop it online. www.cd3lacesup.com. All right. I think we've got our final caller of the night, I believe. And then I'm going to drift off into the sunset and get ready for the crossover at Kinnick back in Iowa tomorrow. Chattawookin. You're not going to give me a hard time, are you?
Nah, actually, surprisingly, I'm with you on this one. At this point, I really don't care either way about KF, BF. Just worried about Parker. I pray he stays. Like, that's the angle I'm starting to see. My biggest worry coming forward is, will he stay? Because
will he stay with
I'm
what?
looking at with Iowa. Like, why would you? How can his legacy get better? He's literally carried a team for 3 years now. Like, how can you be better than literally carrying?
Well, some guys, I mean, he's like 65 or 61.
So too old. So maybe he just doesn't want to start over.
Well, maybe he's not concerned. Maybe he's not concerned with the things that a lot of people are concerned about and climbing the ladder at his point in life. Maybe he's just happy in Iowa City and happy working with his buddy Kirk Ferentz. And I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know. Like, my biggest question I have to ask is, do you think under Ferentz we're ever going to get a point where we try a new quarterback rather than
like Deacon's not playing well, so they put in Joe or put in Marco?
Try Joe. I mean, Kentucky, if he can play in a bowl game, why can't we at least give him
he wasn't
a drive?
Well,
but he's mobile. He's mobile. Like, was he the best? No, but like literally, Deacon couldn't even throw the ball past the line of scrimmage. He kept getting it knocked down, immobile, and when he does get past, it's literally all over the place. I mean, it's like put a blindfold on and throw it at the or dart at the dartboard. You know what I'm saying? Like, and pray.
Well, he doesn't have a groove throwing motion. I've made that comment, and he is not mobile. He avoided the big mistakes tonight. He's the best they have, apparently, but we've been saying that. I mean, we said that at Spencer Petrie.
History-wise, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where it scares me, because you go back to McCann, Banks,
Rudock. But Brad Banks has went on the record and said that he's not ready. And Jake Rudock was really good in 2013.
PJ Petrus last year. I mean, pick a quarterback
Who?
at that point.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's nobody behind Petrus. I mean, Alex was not the answer.
No, agreed. He wasn't the answer, but in that year he might have been better. But also, so what is this delusion that people are on about McNamara being amazing? He was a D+ transfer, is what he's graded out to be. People are from ESPN, they're grading him to be a D+ quarterback transfer. And if you statistically look at him, he had worse stats than Petrus did. When everyone was hating on Petrus, compare the stats game for game.
Well,
Petrus
Shadow,
had better stats.
Cade was hurt all 4 games. He was hurt.
So wasn't Petrus? Was he not?
No.
He was
Not
playing
that I
through a lingering injury, I thought. I swear to God.
So all 3 years?
No, I'm saying the last year.
Well, he was terrible in 21.
Yeah, no, agreed. I absolutely.
He was not really good in 2020
I'm
either.
completely agreeing. The point I'm getting at is, are we ever going to get a quarterback?
Well, you know who to blame for that. They can't recruit quarterbacks. They can't.
Well, I mean, but it
receivers.
was before him, though, right? Like,
Before
it's never
who?
been since like Brad's been our only Brad, Ricky, and CJ. So
Well,
3 in 20 plus years.
Well, Brad and Ricky. Well, I mean, Drew Tate was a pretty good one.
Oh no, Tate was. Yeah, that's my bad. He's a gunslinger.
Honestly,
he was really good. But
if Jake Rudock was a part of this roster right now, you'd be begging him to start. Begging. You'd be on all fours begging him to start.
yeah, I mean, you might be right. He had a quick release.
Quick release. You realize the drop off that, I mean, 2000, go back to 2013, they had Cody Sokol, CJ Beathard, Jake Rudock in that quarterback room in 2013. We'd take any of them right now.
Oh, dude, 100%. I would take the backup. I would take the next year too, and the next year. I think literally we went nothing but down.
That's my point. They have not been able to recruit quarterbacks since Brian got here. At least not
100%.
quarterbacks that have panned out. So they're either not recruiting them, or they're not recruiting the right quarterbacks, or they're not developing the quarterbacks.
So is he hurt? Is my question. Is Joey hurt? Because I heard he was hurt a couple weeks ago.
He was hurt, but my understanding is he's healthy now.
Okay, like that's why I just literally can't grasp. Like that means you're going to transfer, right? Because a guy that comes in, you know what I mean? A guy that comes in, you've been in the system for 2 years now, and you're not even going to get a chance?
Yeah, he'll probably transfer. I'm surprised he's here now, frankly.
No, honestly. Yeah, agreed.
Well, sir, I have to.
You have a great night. I'll be here Monday.
Okay, we'll talk to you Monday, sir. Thank you. All right. I think we've got one more caller. Charles is jumping on here late, and I got to keep it short with Charles, aka Chuck. Chuck, welcome. I remember. Hey. You're not Charles. You're Chuck.
What's up, Cory?
Not much, man. How are you?
Just kind of, I guess enjoying the Wisconsin win. I was going to bring up just a couple of bullet points because I obviously listen to your show quite a bit. My brother calls in.
Yep.
I guess the one question I'd probably ask people, because I've had to look at it from I guess multiple lenses, given the issue with Kirk, given the issues with Brian, I mean even the last caller with me personally, I just think with Brian being at the helm, not just as the OC but the quarterback's coach, we just can't develop a quarterback. I don't think that he's obviously the right fit. I know everybody probably thinks the same thing. It's just the whole offense. But the question I would have for people looking at it from a larger aspect is, would you rather have the non-consistency with Kirk? And I know you guys have talked about this multiple times before on the show, even with the recruiting aspect of things. But the consistency that Kirk has brought with the years that he's been there. Now, I do think it's going to change next year with some of the Pac-10 teams coming in. I don't think that our defense and our offense will be sustainable in the league like that and how it will be broken down. But the one thing I will give to Kirk, and I know that, Cory, I'm pretty sure you've recognized it before as well, is when you have a program that is where I was at right now, and I'm not a big Brian Ferentz fan. I'm very much of the nepotism scale. I personally think Kirk has kept Brian there because at some point in time he was hoping Brian could succeed him. That's my personal purview. I think this year has been more of an advocate for Brian because of McNamara's injuries. I think it's more of a scapegoat to where they can use it as in, even if they say go 8-4, they can credit that to either A, this was Brian's doing and Kirk's doing to help kind of alleviate any push out the door, if that makes sense. Or even if they'd had a bad season, they could have used it as well, saying, hey, look, we couldn't get to where we wanted to because of the injuries, whether it's Luke Lachey, Cade McNamara, the underproduction of the wide receivers. I think it's just one of those double-edged swords. But I guess the question I would have to people with that is I have to look at it from towards the end of Hayden Fry's era. Would I want to have the instability just given the college coaches overall? Where if you look at it, you have prevalent coaches, whether it's Alabama, Oklahoma, well, maybe not necessarily Oklahoma now, but with Lincoln Riley at LS or USC, would I rather go out there and try to search for somebody else to replace what he's doing and where we're at as a program, including the recruiting, even though I think offensively we need to get rid of Brian and move on to somebody else. It just won't happen. There's not enough negative light shed to where I think even the administration or people who, you know, the boosters will even probably move away from him because it's not affecting their pockets with the recruiting. It's not affecting their pockets with ticket sales. It's not affecting their pockets with merch. So I guess that would be my question is, are they willing to give all that up, even given the fact that Brian's there? And personally, I think, like I said, we need to move on from Brian. But is that something you really want to do in retrospect?
They're going to be in they're just going to be in a hard press situation. And again, it got brought up earlier by a couple of our callers. Why is this points per game tracker being talked about? I don't know how to, it's relevant.
To shut us up, to be honest with you. If they said nothing, then
I wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't be talking about it. That wouldn't be, Iowa did this. And I think it's going to be a really awkward situation, Chuck, at the end of the year when they don't hit 25 points per game. They're going to win 10 games. I think they're going to win 9 or 10 games at a minute. If they go any less than 9-3 with the schedule moving forward, I don't care who's playing quarterback. Shame on us. Because the schedule's cake after this. A lot of bad teams on the schedule. Minnesota's not very good, and they're coming to town next week. But it's going to be an awkward situation when he doesn't reach 25 points per game. I think he's probably going to move on, but I said that last year. But now there's some concrete criteria that we can look at, and there's different administration in place with Beth Getz. How much power does she actually have? I can't say, but the contract is still there. I understand the take of, well, we're taking a risk of just completely throwing consistency in what Kirk has established down the drain. Kirk can't be here forever. He's going to leave at some point. And I don't think it's going to be in 2029. So this late in the game, 24 years into his tenure, Chuck, my feeling on it is the offense is terrible. We don't know if Phil's going to stick around if Kirk moves on. But we've got to tell Kirk, look, you've got to do something different with the offense. And if you refuse to make a change or you're going to go down with the Brian Ferentz ship, then we loved you for the 24 years, but it's not worth a few more years of this to run things, continue to run the offense into the hole, basically, is what they've done with the offense. As bad as it's been, they're dead last in the FBS in total offense. Regardless of the run game today, they're still really bad. The numbers indicate they're really bad offensively, right? We're not going to argue that. So
I don't disagree at all.
I mean, at some point, I think you just have to look at the big picture and say, hey, all good things come to an end. We don't want Kirk to leave. We want him to leave on his own terms. But if, he's got to do what's best for the program. That's bottom line. I don't know what else. He's got to do what's best for the program. And not making changes, whether that's OC changes, schematical changes, significant changes that can change performance and give this team a chance to compete against, a Penn State on the road or a Michigan in the Big Ten championship game or Ohio State. I know that's hard to do, but the Phil Parker and LeVar Woods have those two units ready to do that. And so Kirk owes it I believe Kirk owes it to the fan base and to the program to do everything he can, whether he's in his last year or his third to last year, whatever the case may be, to get the program, get the offense to a point where it's complementing those two other units. And it's nowhere close to doing that right now. So, that doesn't take away from the win today. Fabulous win, 15-6 on the road. But I'm not going to heap tons of praise on Brian Ferentz for the win. He did what he needed to do. I thought his play calling as the game went on was okay. Again, when you're limited with what you can do and personnel wise, you're going to work with what you have. and the run game was working. The counteraction continues to work to some extent. Keep doing it. They don't have a quarterback they have trust in. They don't have receivers that seem to be engaged right now. They're down 3 tight ends. What else are you going to do? And lucky for them, it worked.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't disagree with you. I don't think with how Kirk is, I don't think he's really realistically going to look at changing anything. I agree he needs to, but now again, I don't know why they haven't looked at Brian as maybe taking a demotion by maybe as the O-line coach. I mean, there's things obviously that you can look at, but I'm still a firm believer that I think Kirk was trying to set this up to where Brian could succeed him. And I don't think that he's willing to waver from that. But I mean, like I said, there's a lot of good points there that you have. But yeah, I guess that's where I look at it is, am I willing to do all those things given what Kirk has brought, what he's done? I know his refusal to change on things, but I just don't think the athletic department, including the president, is going to say, hey, we're going to move on, even though they should move on from Brian. But I don't know.
But they can't move. There may be a situation, Chuck, where they can't move on from Brian without moving on from Kirk. That's what I'm saying.
And I actually was going to say the same thing. I don't think Kirk would obviously separate from his son. I think it would be both of the two. And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if this year, and I know you've talked about this before, if he did, given his contract and given the climate of the conference next year, would they both step away? After this season.
Find out. I mean, he goes 11-1. Even if they lose a Big Ten championship, you go 11-2, playing a good bowl game, and maybe go 20. Would that be? They go 12-2. Am I? No, I'm not. Yeah, 12-2 potentially. 12-2. I mean, that's not on top because they wouldn't have a Big Ten title. It wouldn't be in the playoff. But 12-2, that might be a ideal time to walk away. He may not, but yeah, I agree. Chuck, I had to cut you short because I'm
appreciate the time, man.
We'll be back Monday, so call back with Coach Patterson Monday if you can.
For sure, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. All right, folks, appreciate everybody being here. Iowa defeating Wisconsin 15-6 here in Madison. Crossover at Kinnick tomorrow. Caitlin Clark and the Iowa women out at Kinnick Stadium. I saw the court set up in Kinnick. That was awesome. Cool to see. I'll be there. Yes, a lot of driving ahead for me. Long weekend ahead. And then Coach Patterson and I, stay tuned to social media. You can follow me at From the Hawkeye on Twitter, also on Instagram, From the Hawkeye at the Storm on Facebook. Please hit the like button on your way out. It does help. And again, From the Hawkeye of the Storm, or excuse me, From the Hawkeye, at From the Hawkeye on Twitter and Instagram, From the Hawkeye of the Storm on Facebook. And you can check out all of our sponsors, shop Amazon with us by means of our description. You can find our merch store all in the description, folks. We'll be back with you probably at some point tomorrow with some content, but then live post-game show coverage again on Monday. We'll talk to you soon.